Hey YouTube family, it is your girl Ebony Cruz from successfulebonycruz.com. Now in this video, we're going to talk about starting a podcast. So for some of you who are ready to get going, but just not sure how to start a podcast, we are ready to teach you the concepts of getting started. So you might just want to stick around. All right, welcome back. So you decided you want to create a podcast. So let's talk about just developing the concept. Now, because this video has a lot of information, I have my cheat sheet. So don't get mad because I am referring to it. All right. So let's get started as far as developing the concept of why you want to start this podcast. Who is your audience? Who are you going to be speaking to? And when you think about that, think about your tone. Is it just a fun, happy podcast, or are you actually going to be educating and informing? Now, when you think about that, I also want you to understand, what is the purpose of your podcast to do? What purpose are you serving? Are you generating leads for your business because you're a business owner and you need another outlet to generate traffic into your business? Or are you want to be recognized as an industry leader? Maybe you're an influencer and you want to influence those by showing those things and information that you know about your industry. You can also think about what messages you want to share. Are you into any political messages, which I typically stay away from, but you may not, and that may be your thing. But think about, why do you want to start this podcast? Or is it just to have fun? Are you a comedian? I know for a couple of those that are out there, and their shows are entertainment based, but they do serve a purpose to the audience. So make sure you understand the concept of why you're starting this podcast before you develop a title or anything else. Now you have the concept and you might be ready to create artwork, but slow down. Don't do that yet, because as your podcast develops, your artwork may change as well. So let's get into number 2, creating the format. What type of format do you want to do and use for your podcast? So there's a couple of styles. There's like the interview style, and that can be incorporated into any type of podcast. Or there's the scripted nonfiction podcast, and that's where you need to do research. Remember, if you are out there giving out valid information and making yourself an industry leader, you need to do the research to go along with it. So that's going to require some work. And next, it could be an educational or even a fun fictional podcast. And that's where you're just exploring ideas. Maybe aliens really do exist. Whatever that is, understand the format of your podcast, because that's going to help you create the length. So don't let anyone tell you that your podcast has to be an optimal length or a certain length. Remember, it is your podcast, and you also got to put in some wiggle room for editing and other creative things that you're going to do as well. All right. So think about your podcast as either becoming a full-time job or possibly just a part-time thing you're doing on the side. Make sure that you're thinking and creating the actual scheduling and formatting of your podcast. Your podcast could be 30 minutes or it could be 10 minutes, or maybe you want to go a whole hour. I don't know about all of that, but your listeners may like it and you may have engaging content. So decide what you want to do in that aspect. Next is the publishing portion of it. So once you get started, you got to decide, are you publishing daily? Are you publishing monthly, weekly, bi-weekly? Because that's going to get your audience used to looking for your content. So don't get started and say, I'm doing something daily, get overwhelmed and you stop. You want to make sure that you can really do and maintain what you set out and started, all right? So really take time and consideration and understand what you can physically do in your schedule to do this podcast, whether it's daily or weekly. Be sure to join our next video as we show you the equipment needed for producing and creating your podcast. Until next episode, YouTubers, we look forward to guiding your cruise into success.